very much. Good afternoon, everyone. The Sacramento City Council meeting as the Sacramento Housing Authority will come to order. Would the clerk please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Ashby.
I'm here, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Laloe. Councilmember Laloe is online, but it looks like we're having audio problems. Councilmember Harris.
Present.
Councilmember Valenzuela.
Here.
Vice Mayor Chenier.
Here.
Councilmember Guerra.
Here.
Councilmember Jennings.
Here.
Councilmember Vang.
Here.
And Mayor Steinberg.
I am here. Good afternoon, everyone. To the public, the City Council meets often concurrently as the Housing Authority and the City Council, and that's what we're doing here today. The Council is the Housing Authority, for those who are wondering about the distinction. Let us begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, which is the right way to start the meeting. Let me ask Councilmember Harris, Jeff Harris, Housing Authority member Jeff Harris, if you would please lead us in the pledge.
Thank you, Mayor. Salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good, thank you, Councilmember Harris. Members, today we take up a very important item, which is the Housing Authority, Housing and Redevelopment Agency's proposed budget. And I'd like to turn it over to our Executive Director of the Authority, Lachelle Dozier.
Good afternoon. We are here to present our 2022 proposed budget. As many of you know, our fiscal year is the calendar year starting in January. So this is the time where we come before you to get approval for the budget so that it can be submitted to HUD. It is before the actual federal budget is approved. So we actually present what we propose it to be and make any adjustments as necessary. So we're going to get started, and our CFO, Susanna Jackson, will present the financials, and then I will follow up with my presentation.
Thank you, Lachelle. Good afternoon, Mayor Steinberg and council members. My name is Susanna Jackson, Chief Financial Officer for Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency, and I am here to present to you the 2022 budget for the agency. It follows the same format for previously submitted budgets that have won awards for both the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers and the Government Finance Officers Association. This is a balanced budget for the period of January through December and incorporates the activities of the housing authorities of the city and the county of Sacramento, which includes various federal entitlement funds, local housing funds administered by the agency for both the city and the county of Sacramento. The total estimated resources necessary to fund the projects, operations, and programs for the agency is $347.1 million. A majority of our funding is from different federal resources, estimated at $205.8 million. These programs include the Housing Choice Vouchers, public housing, the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, and I will highlight these programs throughout the presentation. The remaining amount comes from state and local sources, such as Housing Trust Fund, affordable housing fees, and other miscellaneous housing programs. This is one graphic that shows how the money will be used, broken out by category. The largest category is $130.7 million for HAP payments, followed up by the estimated expenditures of $66.7 million for the emergency rental assistance payments for 2022. We also have the 78.4 for capital projects and 38.7 million for salaries and benefits and 5.7 million for public services. This is a detailed graphic, again, proposing the total of expenditures of $347.1 million, With the housing assistance payment budget at the 130.7 million, emergency rental assistance payments estimated at 66.7 million, the operating budget at 63.4 million, capital projects budgets at 78.4 million, public services estimated at 5.7 million, and debt service and financial transactions at 2.2 million. The 2022 proposed budget compared with prior years is an increase of 133.9 million, or a 62.8% increase that is due primarily to the creation of the Sacramento Emergency Rental Assistance Program that had not existed prior to the fall. The next several slides will show you the revenues and lease ups for the HAP, which is the housing assistance payments. This chart reflects historical HAP revenues, expenses, and lease up percentages. So as you can see, while the lease up percentages were 89% in 2020 and 2021, and the percentage is estimated at 90% lease up for 2022, you will notice that our HAP expenses are higher than previous periods that have a higher percentage of vouchers leased. So this highlights not only the difficulty of voucher holders being able to find housing, but it highlights just how expensive the 89% lease up rate is for the agency, which is currently estimated at 110 million. This next slide illustrates the historical revenue trends from the public housing program. As you can see, in 2020, it was a good year at 21.6 million combined for both the city and the county public housing agencies due to an almost $2 million increase in funding from the CARES Act. As you can see, we anticipate smaller amounts in 2021 and 22, mostly due to the decrease in the public housing units due to the RAD dispositions you have heard about previously. Another important initiative we like to highlight here is the Sacramento Emergency Rental Assistance Program. So this chart shows the progression of payments made for both rental assistance and utility assistance back to April of this year. As you can see, it's had steady increases, 1.9 million in April, and in May jumped to 10.4 million in expenditures. In June, we had 8 million, and all the way through September, there was 17.8 million in expenditures. And we will detail more of this in Lachelle's presentation, and I will hand that off to her now. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Good afternoon. I'm Lachelle Dozier, the Executive Director of the Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment District Agency. Today, I'd like to provide you with a brief summary of the work that the agency has done over the past 2 years as we've navigated the challenges of the pandemic, as well as all of the changes that have come from the federal government. Before I get into the specifics of the agency's budget, I would like to give an update on the federal administration's Build Back Better Act. As you may be aware, there are a lot of changes and amendments to the original proposal outlined by the president. Many congressional members have advocated heavily to ensure that the housing provisions remain in the act. On October 28, following an appeal by President Biden, the housing provisions still remain in the act. If this passes, it will include $150 billion targeted to affordable housing, which is the largest single investment in affordable housing ever. The budget that our CFO just talked about does not anticipate these funds because we are always very conservative, and we never know exactly what Congress is going to include, especially since the housing provisions look like they were going to be in jeopardy and going to be cut. So just to give you a very high level overview of what those provisions look like, for our rental assistance, which includes like our housing choice voucher, this is on a national level, they're looking at $25 billion. In terms of public housing, that would be an increase of $65 billion that would go towards our capital funds, which we've never had that amount previously. Our housing trust fund is $15 billion nationwide. And if you break that down in terms of the amount of money that would come to California is $2.6 billion. Our home program at $9.9 billion and our CDBG program at $3 billion. And essentially, this is a tripling of the amount of money that we have seen over the past few years for those programs. So if this passes, these will be much needed resources that will then trickle down here to the local level to address our growing housing crisis in Sacramento. We are still waiting to see exactly what's going to happen. They are waiting for the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, to actually put a number out there as to what the Build Back Better Act will be. And from there, we'll start to see exactly how much, if any, it's hard to say, will be approved in that particular act, but we are following it very, very closely. So now moving on and talking about the 5 main areas that I really want to cover here, and then our focus over the past 2 years is really our response to the pandemic, how we have addressed the homeless response here in our community while still continuing affordable housing production, our conversion to RAD in our public housing, and then of course our Choice Neighborhoods Initiative, which is Marisol Village. So in terms of our pandemic response, it has really been a very challenging year, 2 years now. We really worked very hard. The staff has done an outstanding job of really being very proactive. When it officially was recognized in March of 2020, everyone shut down. We had very little time to react, but as an essential agency, we began tackling the crisis with an effective strategy to remain fully functional. We work to provide a very safe environment for our staff to work and to serve our customers and to meet the mission and goals of the organization. So internally, we established protocols for COVID. We started continuing to update people via Zoom meetings. We provided PPE, touch-free sanitizing stations, temperature checks, masks, gloves, everything to our staff and the work sites. We installed a lot of new technology so that our employees could telework. And then we also relocated staff in some of our offices so that their offices would be more secure. We created incentives for employees to get vaccinated, which was a very favorable response. Externally, we were very concerned about our residents and what they needed. We made sure that we provided PPE and other things that was necessary. We provided vaccination clinics, informational Zoom meetings with health experts to really answer a lot of their questions. And we also here, you see the picture, we partnered with the city to have meal delivery to our seniors. So with the Great Plates program. So the SARA program, that has really been an outstanding opportunity for us to really serve the residents here. It really elevated the issue of homelessness here in Sacramento County, and we responded quickly by putting together a program. This particular program started in February and it went through March of 2021. We reopened it because we had it open for a short period of time and we have left it open since then. It pays the past due rent and utilities for renters who are impacted by COVID, and the landlords can apply on behalf of the tenants. Eligible applicants, we encourage them to still continue to reach out to us and to apply. And they also can work with any of 14 different community-based organizations. So we made sure that we really work very closely with those CBOs. They speak over 34 different languages, and they can assist in uploading documents and really helping people who need assistance with the program. This slide really shows you the magnitude of funding that has come to Sacramento. There is $96 million between the city and the county. And one of the great things is that we had cooperation between the city and county, so our programs mirror each other. And really that's to provide a level of convenience so that there is no confusion in terms of if you live in the city or the county about where to apply. So this first round of funding was $96 million. And then our second round of funding, which we've already received approval, will be $84 million. While we have a very specific timeline to use the funds in round one, we still have several years left that we can use round two. So the next chart is going to show you exactly what we've used to date. So the total disbursement in the city is $29.6 million, which has helped 3,887 families, and that's 98% of the dollars. In the county, it is $43 million. So overall, almost 10,000 families have been assisted by this program. And we've expended, like I said, 98% of the dollars in the city. One of the things that I find just remarkable, when you look across the United States, the total disbursement of this program hovers somewhere between 11 to 15%. So Sacramento has done an outstanding job of making sure that we get those funds into the hands of people who need them. One of the things that we were most concerned about was the end of the eviction moratorium. As a result of that, we started really reaching out and working with the courts, who really were very proactive in making sure that anyone who came before them with evictions really were a part of this program. So we have a relationship that they will call us directly to make sure that they have made an application. They will give more time as needed so that those funds can be given to the landlords to catch them up on their back rent. Also on their website, they actually reference the SARA program. So we have a very good collaboration going. So with that, I also would like to introduce you to one of our landlords. We always talk a lot about the residents who receive assistance, but really this program and all of the programs for rental assistance like HCV are dependent on landlords who work in the program. So I have Joshua Kirk. Joshua, are you on? So I just wanted him to be able to speak to you about his experience. Joshua, there you are. Okay, I think you're still muted. There you go.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right, so they asked me to share a little bit about you. We've got 600 units in Rancho, and 3 years ago, I was recruited by the company to come work here. And in February of 2019, we had a zero delinquency. March, when everything hit, it took a slide down and it got pretty bad. Over the first 2 years of my tenancy here and my employment here, we had one eviction. In October of this year, we filed 34 evictions. So it's been very advantageous to us, as well as the residents, that we have the funds coming from the SARA program. Sorry, guys, I'm getting an echo on this. Let me see if I can change. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. It was giving me a bad echo. So one of the things too that we've been able to do is actually hire some of our residents. So we've hired groundskeepers, porters, maintenance technicians, and leasing agents. So without the money from the SARA program to help us not only run our business, but to keep our units in habitable condition, that's one of the things that I've been very proud, and it's been good for us to help the community out, not only keep their apartments, but at the same point, get them full-time jobs, 40 hours a week. Some of them have opted to take apartments here with a little benefit on the rental assistance from the employer and full benefits. So I don't know if we would be in this position we are right now if it wasn't for the help from the SARA program.
Thank you so much, Joshua. We really do appreciate the work that you're doing and helping all of the residents as well. I don't know if any council members had any questions for you. If not, okay, thank you. Okay. So one of the things is there you go. One of the things that Joshua pointed out is the fact that, he has quite a few pending evictions that we've been able to stay as a result of the SARA program. But we did see at the end of the moratorium, a huge influx of applications come in for people who were receiving some notice of eviction. So as a result of that, we've had to really change our process and prioritize those individuals first. At this point, we have over 3,000 residents who have received some type of notice. So we are working very, very diligently to make sure that we get those funds out to everyone who needs it. So moving on, the next thing I want to talk about is our homeless response and our shelters. So as you all know, we've been working very hard to get our shelter, the X Street Navigation Center up and running. Here's a picture of both Meadowview and X Street. So most recently, the X Street Navigation Center opened in September to serve up to 100 people living on the streets and in the surrounding areas. Since the opening, 89 guests are in the shelter. So we're very thrilled that we're able to get to 89. And based on our numbers, I'm pretty sure we'll be at 100 very soon. Already, in a very short period of time, 6 people have actually received housing. The Meadowview Navigation Center, because of COVID, had hovered around 50. Now that the vaccine is readily available and working with the county, we are able to go up to 100. We're currently at 93 women who are at the Meadowview shelter, and 86 women have been housed. In addition to those 2 shelters, in June of 2020, we started overseeing operations at the Emergency Bridge Housing at the Grove in North Sacramento. It's a community of 24 tiny homes. We are working very closely with our service provider to really make sure that there is robust wraparound services and really focuses on trauma-informed care. So First Step Communities is the resource provider working with St. Paul Church of God in Christ. And they have been a critical partner with us in the location of this housing and really working with the community as well. To date, 75 youth have exited the program into housing. There's a picture there of one of the guests there talking about his experience. In addition to that, we really have been recalling our first shelter effort was the 180-room Capitol Park Hotel, which was originally planned to be rehabbed by Mercy Housing into 134 units of permanent supportive housing, which they are currently working on. So during that time, Capitol Park served 428 guests and 148 transitioned into permanent supportive housing. So we're very excited. That project is using multiple resources and it's anticipated to be available in summer of 2022. And then on to our home key projects. And we've talked a lot about these. So I won't go into a lot of detail, but there you see the La Mancha project, which is our very first home key program. As you know, this is money that's come from the state, and there has been a new NOFA, a release for $1.5 billion, and we have submitted our 2 applications that came before you, Vista Nuevo, permanent supportive housing for families, and then Central Sacramento Studios. Those are the first 2 in our area to be submitted, so we are really looking forward to hearing the status of those applications relatively soon. In terms of affordable housing production, we have done $51.9 million, nearly $52 million in multifamily loans. And here we have our 2022 revenues that we anticipate receiving from the county and the city. And like I said, this is not including any of the resources that may come as a result of the Build Back Better Act, because we're not sure exactly how much funding may come to us. In terms of affordable housing projects, I really wanted to show what has been completed, what is currently under construction, and what is in the pipeline. And so this chart really shows the flow and the number of units that we have currently completed, 711. Under construction are 652, of which 392 are permanent supportive housing for people who are homeless. And then in the pipeline, there's another 1,000 units, of which 235 units are for permanent supportive housing. And then on to our public housing, our rental assistance demonstration program. We're still continuing with that effort. It allows us to convert from our public housing platform over to a Section 8 platform, which then infuses more resources, allows us to leverage private debt onto those particular properties so that we can finally get in there and do some of the much needed improvements that that we've been trying to get for quite some time. This is a very long pipeline project. But one of the things, let's say, if the Build Back Better Act is approved, it would accelerate this time frame given the resources that are available. So we're very hopeful, and we're moving on to our next project, which is 2 elderly high rises in our downtown core. And then the last thing is our Marisol Village and our Choice Neighborhoods initiative. As you know, we've been working diligently on this for a very, very long time. It was the oldest property within our portfolio, built in the 1940s. Systems, infrastructure had reached the end of their useful life. And so we began to work very hard. We secured first the planning grant of $300,000 and then the $30 million Choice Neighborhoods. We've been able to then leverage that $30 million into a $300 million project. So if you drive by that area, you'll see that it is truly a neighborhood transformation. There is so much work that has been done. We are looking to welcome our new residents back next year around January or February. And there will be 487 units by the time it's done. The interest list is also open at this particular time. And there are over 1,000 people who have already put their name on that interest list. That interest list is for our market rate and our workforce housing. The priority is given to those residents who were currently living there. We anticipate that probably at least half or more will opt to come back to Mirasol Village. So some of the recent accomplishments is obviously the new infrastructure is in, the park, Mirasol Village Park is there, and all of the construction, all of the playground equipment. And in addition to that, you'll also notice there's a lot of mural art that has been going up. That is a part of this project as well. It's absolutely fabulous when you're driving through underneath the 12th Street underpass, new micro transit buses, bike lanes, all of those things are really as a result of this project here at Mirasol. So looking ahead to 2022, we want to close financing on the last and final block. I know many of you have had an opportunity to go out and tour the project and see exactly all the good work that's going on. We anticipate once we receive the final amount of funding, which is really breathing down our necks. I mean, HUD is very clear that we have got to get this thing under construction by September of next year. So we have several different alternatives and different funding sources that we will be applying for. But we are working very, very hard on that and very excited about the work. And also the construction will start of the light rail station next year. So with that, I wanted to conclude my budget presentation and I am available for any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there members that have questions? I know I do have one, but I want to go to the members first. Is there public testimony? I guess I should start, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, I have one hand raised to make comments on this item from Josh.
Okay, let's hear from Mr. Garcia.
Josh Garcia.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and council members. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, how you doing? Good afternoon. My name is Josh Garcia. I'm a member of the Carpenters Union. I'm here to speak today on the proposed budget plan. There is a need to know if there's pre-qualified language in these upcoming projects. Will there be the ability for apprenticeship opportunities? I myself understand the benefits of getting to work through the apprenticeship. I was able to acquire the abilities and knowledge and become a skilled and trained journeyman I am today. The apprenticeship will be able to continue to provide these skilled and trained workforce members as long as we're able to utilize them inside of our communities. Are there assurances that the members from the local community will be hired, and along with that, at a livable wage to where they can maintain their life in their current communities without having to move or relocate? In these past years, I've been able to provide for my family through these opportunities that have been entrusted to me through these livable wages and benefits. I ask these questions to prompt the council on their obligation to the local community to ensure it thrives through these upcoming projects. As for instance, the housing crisis that was mentioned earlier would be the perfect chance to employ these local skilled and trained workers I've been talking about. Thank you for your time, and I am looking forward to the progress you will bring to this community. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your public testimony. Are there members as well, and it's well noted, are there members who want to talk? Okay, Jeff Harris, I see Councilman Harris, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to congratulate the SHRA staff on Mirasol Village. This has been a very difficult project right from the beginning. With the $30 million Choice Neighborhoods Initiative grant, and then leveraging that to the project that we see today has been a huge lift, and there's still more to go. There's another block of housing yet to be built, but I would say that the determination of SHRA staff in seeking funds and writing grants, they're incredibly persistent, and it really will be a transformative project for the River District. I'm very excited about it. I'm excited about the project. I just wanted to say thank you to all involved, Michelle, you and your entire staff, including Tyrone, who is now gone. But you know, you've produced and you continue to produce in this area, and it's a huge benefit to the city. That's all, Mayor.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. I know I want to ask a question, Michelle. So, and I think you ask these questions all the time, but we are having debates in many forums. We'll have a discussion tonight about housing and what is our capacity and ability to build more housing for people, just unsheltered people, but including unsheltered people in our city and in our community. And I, like you, am following the Build Back Better debate and the $150 billion amount that is currently in the draft proposals. And I think you said, was it 3.6 or $2.6 billion that would come to California? What was that?
It's 2.6 billion of the local housing trust fund.
Of the local housing trust fund.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I'm going to ask, because I just want to kind of get an order of magnitude here, which is based on traditional formulas. If that $2.6 billion holds, and again, remember, this is the less than $2 trillion package overall, the one that Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema allegedly, you know, are ready to embrace. Maybe, maybe not. We know there's a lot more drama and work to be done. Mm-hmm. What would be the city's allocation? And then maybe what would be the county's allocations, since we are in partnership with them in terms of flexible housing dollars from that new pot of money?
Mm-hmm. So we don't have the specifics in terms of how much money would flow to the city and the county. However, of the $2.6 billion from the Local Housing Trust Fund, that money goes to the state of California. And previously, what the state has done has issued that money through competitive grants. So it would be great if someone would be advocating with the state that they actually really implement it through a formula allocation. But in the past, the Local Housing Trust Fund has been all competitive.
Okay, well, we know people. You know,
yes,
people.
You do. You know lots of people.
We know lots of people. So that's a debate we got to get into. But help me out here, because you know what I want to hear. And I'm not holding you to the number. But if it were based on sort of traditional formulas, formulaically, and if we are able to achieve that, what is our share of $2.6 billion?
I know you want me to give you a number.
I do.
Don't know a number because they've never done it by formula.
I can tell you what I think it is based upon old percentages. I think it's well over $100 million. Okay. And we've talked about, I think it is, and that doesn't even include the county. And so, this is on top of what the council, of course, has already committed to its housing trust fund. It's on top of the $100 million that we have voted on August 10th and compiled together as part of our fiscal plan to implement the comprehensive siting plan. Another $100 million if the Congress follows through it. I know that's an if, it's a contingency, but it's a heck of a lot of money. And I'm relatively confident. They finished the first part of this thing. President Biden had a magnificent signing ceremony yesterday in Washington, D.C. that the CBO comes out and shows that the second half can be paid for. This thing gets done. The city is going to be able to more than double the amount we have already allocated to the housing issue. And I think that's hopeful. It's not guaranteed, but it's very hopeful. And I just wanted to say that, or at least get that on the record. And my estimate is not completely out of left field.
No, it's not completely out of left field, especially, I mean, that's only one of those line items that I was talking about.
Go the other ones. What are the other ones? Come on.
Oh boy, oh boy. So the other ones are the home program. So the home program, as I mentioned, is looking at almost a tripling of what we have seen in the past. And this is over a period of a few years. So we will have a few years to use those funds. So we could see triple of what we have in the past. In the past, I think we're at home is around 3 million. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what? We've found a way, members, and it's not just us, obviously, but it's just through the state, the feds, housing is becoming a priority.
Yeah.
And we're finding the money. We continue to find the money.
Mhm.
Thank you. Councilman Guerra?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to also extend my gratitude to the SHRA team, and particularly the team at the Sarah program and Sarah at the Sarah program, and the fact that your team moved quickly, particularly after the eviction moratorium ended, to increase outreach. Greatly appreciated. Also want to thank you for responding to some of the concerns about language access and making sure we're helping people apply. I think we still need a little more work on that. But I think it is the fact that the city took this on, to look at rental assistance back in December before any of our local partners, before the state, before the federal government. I think is laudable that we worked out a lot of the kinks early on. So thank you again, and I think this is great to move forward.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay. Councilman
Mayor?
Jennings.
Thank you. Thank you. Lachelle, I just want to say to you and your staff, this has been an incredible report. I'm sitting here looking at all the subjects that you brought up as it relates to the challenges from the pandemic, and in the midst of the pandemic, the homeless response in our shelters, the affordable housing, the public housing and rental assistance, and the Choice Neighborhood Initiative. When you take a look at all of the work that has been done by your organization and your employees and your folks in working with the city and of course the county, it's just an impressive body of work. And I can't thank you enough for being our partner in working with us to bring these kind of solutions to the city of Sacramento. I'm looking forward to my visit to Mirasol. And I know that's scheduled, I believe, sometime either this week or next week, but I'm looking forward to my visit so I can see it firsthand. But I've seen it, as I drive by it constantly, and I see the potential that it has for our city. So I just want to stop and say thank you, and to you and your staff and all the folks who have done this incredible body of work. I was trying to keep up with the numbers, and every time you gave me numbers and I couldn't write them down fast enough to take a look at the total body of work and the impact that has been made as a result of your organization working with the city and the county. So I just wanted to stop and say thank you and let you know how proud we are to be a partner with Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else? This is a voting item, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Public hearing.
It is a public hearing. Yeah, I just say excellent work. Really, it's a massive amount of work, and it is so important. And we're grateful for your service and leadership. So thank you. Let us.
Mayor, I'd be happy to open and close the public hearing and move all the staff recommendations.
Yes.
Mayor, I'd be happy to second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Let us call the roll, please.
So, Mayor, I do have one additional public commenter. Since this is a public hearing, may we take them?
Of course.
Thank you. Lilith? Lilith, if you'll unmute.
Hello? Hello?
You have 2 minutes to address the Housing Authority.
I just wanted to say that the city's proposal for the PH program, while it sounds great, it sounds like the city would better spend their money actually keeping people from being in this situation in the first place, which is being unhoused. It sounds like you are creating more of an infrastructure for a homelessness, what do you call it? Industrial complex where you're just giving out money to people who are essentially poverty pimps and just like just waiting for the city to give money to them. And I also want to make the comment that PSH is permanent supportive housing is not actually permanent. It does rely on evictions to keep the thing running. So I don't know how you guys are planning to deal with that. It just sounds like it's just another revolving door for the city and its partners to make more money while also neglecting the problem, which is actually keeping people housed. And this goes along with the mayor's right to housing, which I know this isn't the place for the comment right now, but it also, the right to housing just sounds like the mayor ensuring that this plan has to succeed, because if somebody doesn't want to be part of this program and want to be constantly supervised by people, that they're not going to have a choice to even say no. And this just sounds like a complete monopoly and a farce. And all y'all should be ashamed, especially the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mayor, I have no more public commenters.
Very good. Thank you very, very much. Members, let's call the vote on the motion.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Ashby,
Yes, and great work, SHRA.
Councilmember Laloe,
Councilmember Laloe?
it looks like we're having audio problems. I do have a visual confirmation that he said yes.
Okay, thumbs up will work. Okay.
Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Valenzuela,
Aye, great job, Lachelle.
Vice Mayor Chenier,
Aye.
Councilmember Guerra,
Aye.
Councilmember Jennings,
Yes.
Councilmember Vang,
Yes.
and Mayor Steinberg.
Yes. Okay, that passes 9-0. Excellent. Are there, Madam Director, do you have any additional reports? Members, do you have any additional ideas and questions? And are there public comments on items not on the agenda?
The only additional thing that I had, Mayor and members of the council, was really just to give a heartfelt thank you to the staff at SHRA. They've worked so incredibly hard. They have just worked day and night and at great sacrifice to their personal lives and the balance that it takes to do all of this, but they are so passionate and committed. And I just really can't say how much I appreciate working with outstanding group of folks.
Okay, that's right. Thank you for recognizing, as we all do, right, the people who support us and really do a lot of the work. Not that you don't or we don't, but the people who really make it happen. Excellent. All right, members, any public testimony?
Mr. Mayor, I have no hands raised to make public comment for matters not on the agenda.
Okay, members, then we are 15 minutes late for the scheduled closed session. So why don't we, the time now is 3:17. Why don't we go into closed session in 5 minutes, all right? We'll adjourn now and close session at 3:22, and then the city council meeting at 5 o'clock. Nothing further, we are adjourned.